Lovely to speak to you. And I'll be honest, I'm a person who actually burns water. So I'm a mess in the kitchen. So if you were to tell a person like me to start cooking, which is that one advice would you give me?
Well, it's funny you say that because my mum, she can't boil water either. So you're in the same boat as my mother. Um, where should I start? I suppose I've used her as a bit of a case study. I think start with cooking food that you love to eat. You probably are out there in restaurants, and whether it be restaurants or street food, um, you know, find something simple that you love to eat and try and cook it, because that's when you're going to know what it's meant to taste like. So I think that's the hardest thing with some people that just look at a photo in a book and go, I want to cook that. Unless you've tried that, unless you've had that, you don't know how it's meant to taste. So you could go through, years and years and years of cooking these different foods, but not knowing how it's exactly meant to taste.
Or maybe I'm one of those category of people who likes to be served.
That's exactly the same as my mum. She's got it good. She just, sits back. She might have to do a couple of dishes at the end of the night, but she gets a good meal.
But anyways, you come on as the judge on, Junior Masterchef, and a whole lot of kids, far more talented than me, get the storm. But, they also, a lot of parents also feel, oh, why are you spending your time in the kitchen? You should be studying. But there is a whole lot of talent. You don't know where life would take them. So what is your perception? What would you like to tell people?
Yeah, I think, I never thought that when I was in the kitchen at home, when I was 15, 16 years old, when I first started to cook, I never thought that it would be a career. I think a lot of people are like that. And, it took me to jump into a crazy situation like MasterChef to realize how much I did actually love it. But you're not going to realize that unless you don't start cooking at home. And I think even if you don't want to make it a career, like cooking is a skill that will take you through life. And having that skill and having that fun with your family. If you've got a parent that's telling you not to study and to cook, maybe you should be. If you've got a parent out there that's telling you not to cook and to study, maybe you should ask them to come in the kitchen and have some fun with you.
Yeah, true. And since you've been a participant on MasterChef, you've been a judge as well. So what can we expect? And also, when we're watching it, one does get hungry, but you're also having this nail-biting moments like, oh man, do it. So What can we expect from this particular edition? And,
Yeah, I think fun is the best word. I don't know if you saw any of MasterChef Back to Win, but that was amazing. But it was such a, they call it the MasterChef pressure cooker environment where you're in that kitchen and the stakes are high and you just want to do your best. The Junior MasterChefs, it is all just about, them getting in, getting stuck in, doing their best. But they've all got smiles on their faces. They're all, if they cook a subpar dish, they take it on the chin, they learn from it, and then they go back to their bench still with the smile on their face. And it shows throughout the show because, I think Jock Melissa and myself are having so much fun, more fun than ever. And that transferred to the kids and that produces better food.
So let me ask you, what is a one lockdown discovery that you've made in the kitchen?
I don't know what it's been like over in India, but I have started to bake sourdough. I think that sourdough craze went probably worldwide. And I think it's one thing that I've just never had time to do. It is pretty time consuming. However, having weekends and a few days during the week when we got locked down to actually practice sourdough, and it was something that I've fallen in love with and never thought that I would be able to do it. But it's definitely a skill that, like I say, it's a skill that I now have for life. And no matter where I am or what I'm doing, as long as I've got some mother, some flour, some water, and some salt, you can bake beautiful bread.
True. Sourdough and banana bread. Everybody was either baking banana bread or sourdough.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of banana bread, so I left that for everyone else around the world.
And a cook you could trade life, yourself with.
What was that, sorry?
A cook you could trade could trade places with.
Oh, good. That is a question that I've never been asked. I've never been asked that question. I've never really thought about it. I think it'd be safe. I don't have an answer, but I think it would be someone overseas. I am really blessed and really happy with my journey, throughout going on MasterChef, becoming part of the Three Blue Ducks, now having 5 restaurants, and now being a judge on MasterChef. But one thing that I've never done is cooked in a really bustling kitchen somewhere around the world. And I would really love to do that. I think cooking is one of the things that draws so many people to cooking, is that it's universal. You don't even have to speak the language. You can go over to Italy or India and get a job in a kitchen and get by. So I think that's one thing that, and it may happen one day, but I'd like to be in someone's shoes overseas cooking in a kitchen.
The scariest food critic or criticism that you've ever received?
I think the first ever dish that I put up in the MasterChef kitchen was, I wasn't scared because I just didn't know any different. But I remember Gary Meehan said to me, Andy, if you keep cooking like this, you're not going to last very long in the competition. And I was like, oh, that was brutal. So anyway, good things happened, and it turned out I lasted a little bit longer than Gaz thought on that day. So yeah, that was pretty hardcore.
So if you were to host a dinner for, say, 5 celebrities, who would those 5 people be, and what would you cook for them?
Oh, you ask the real tough ones, don't you? I would have my mum and my dad, because I think, my time, in my new life, being, owning restaurants and now being a judge on MasterChef, my time with my family is getting more and more limited. So a time that I can just have with mum and dad, that's first and foremost. I'm a huge basketball fan, so I would invite Michael Jordan. There are so many things that, he has done throughout his career that I'm just so fascinated by, and still to this day, that he's just doing amazing things around the world. So I'd invite Michael Jordan. I would invite, man, I should have come prepared. I would invite, weirdly, Donald Trump.
Wow.
And that's not because I like the guy and I don't really want to sit down and share a meal with him. I just want to be in the same room with him, just to see how he is, because you get this perception of what he's like. And if he is like that, I think interesting is a G-rated word that I could use to describe him. And I think I would just like to experience that, maybe not for the whole dinner, but just to say what he's like as a human. And then lastly, to please you, I would invite Sachin Tendulkar.
Wow, that's interesting.
Because I also love cricket, and I think
I read about that. So I was about to ask you, no cricket on your list.
Yeah, so and I think him or Virat Kohli, I would love to invite. Maybe I can get 6 seats at the table, considering that I invited mum and dad. And I think, I think Sachin is one of the most humble, beautiful people, that I've seen on a cricket field. And he would have experienced so much, and I'd just love to sit down and have a meal and a beer with him.
And what would you serve them? Your signature dish, which is that one dish you would want to serve them because they're there for dinner?
Yeah, I don't know what I'd serve them. I think there's such a strange, listen to the people that I just said. They're they couldn't be more different from one another. So yeah, I don't really know. I would definitely serve them things off one of my menus at the Three Blue Ducks. What that is, I don't know. If you can organise it, I'll put a menu together.
Sure. So let me ask you, which is the most overrated ingredient that, as a chef, that you feel is just so overrated?
The most overrated ingredient. I think cinnamon. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of, and I think Jock's the same. I think cinnamon is such a polarizing flavor, and I'm not a fan of it in either sweet or savory. So yeah, I don't know whether people rate cinnamon high, but if they do, it's overrated.
Most underrated.
Most underrated ingredient, curry leaves or anchovies.
Most underrated food cuisine that you've tasted and you just feel it's had not been given the popularity that it should.
Indian in Australia.
Oh, really? I mean, with such an Indian population, I thought, just like they have in the UK, they would have the restaurants and all. It's not that as popular as we see in the rest of the world, is it?
I just don't think it's as celebrated as other cuisines. I think, if you look at Mexican and Indian, they're very similar in that they're bright, colourful, they're flavoursome, they're textural. Indian over here is widely regarded as amazing cuisine, and it's very, it's celebrated over here. But I just see Indian the exact same. You're eating with your hands, you're reaching over the top of people to get to a salsa or a condiment to put on your bread, and I just feel like it's very similar, but it just hasn't taken off over here like Mexican has. I think it will one day. I think it's just a matter of time.
Most overrated cuisine.
Oh, that's brutal. I can't say that. I'll get shot down.
Oh, fine.
I love it all.
The weirdest thing that you've ever had tasted on your plate. The weirdest thing.
Yeah, that's an easy one for me. Lamb's testicles. It was in Rioja in Spain, and I'm not going back for any more.
And lastly, I want to ask you, have you tasted anything Indian food? Have you visited India? Are you looking forward to it? One thing on your,
Yeah, it has been on my bucket list for such a long time. Winning Masterchef 8 years ago, there were a few times when people were going to take me over there to do some work. It's quite popular for people to do that, and I'm so upset that it's never happened to me. And I can't wait till the world gets back to some normality and I can get over there. I think I'm just going to bite the bullet, buy my own plane ticket, and just create my own trip and leave it in my own hands and see how I go. Because, like I said, with Mexican food, I love street food, and I feel like I'm just going to fall in love with the street food in India also.
I'm sure you would. And lastly, what is your guilty pleasure? The food that you love binging on. Pardon?
Ice cream.
That makes two of us. I know. Nothing beats ice cream. Lovely chatting with you, Andy. Hope to see you in India soon.
Thank you so much.
And I'll send you the menu for the celebrity dinner.
Perfect. Thank you.